Hello there. We've now had the news that places of worship will be able to reopen to the public from early July, and we're just beginning to work out what that will mean in relation to St Aldate's. In myself, what I've noticed is that this change has felt destabilising. We had anticipated that the news would be in relation to early September, not early next month. And I realised that although lockdown felt strange and uncomfortable to begin with, it quickly became the new normal, but now change is in the air once more. I've spoken before about how it seems to me that one of the challenges we've all faced these past months has been a bit like the action of sifting for gold, shaking away the mud and working out what it is that remains which is of true value. And I guess all around the world, the things that are given priority in the coming months will tell their own story about what is deemed truly to be valuable. Arguably at this time, we need some practical pointers, reminders of what kind of compass we are given by the Christian faith to navigate this uncertain terrain. Well, if you are a regular listener or viewer to these thoughts, you'll know that a number of my colleagues have offered some mini-series of linked thoughts over the last few months. So not to be outdone, over the next 5 weeks, I'm going to take the 5 chapters of the book of James from the New Testament as a springboard for reflection. I have to say it is one of the New Testament letters for which I have a particular affection. I love that it's so practical, so very honest, sometimes shockingly forthright. And constantly as a reader, you are brought face to face with one simple question. How is my life going to look different because of my Christian faith? What impact will it have? And it seems to me that's an essential question for all of us as we begin to contemplate the new normality of socially distanced bars and restaurants, apparently no talking at the barber or hairdresser, and indeed worship together in church looking and feeling extremely different, at least for some months. So, from James chapter 1, 3 encouragements that I would like to draw out. First, ask God for wisdom. Second, resist temptation. And third, be a doer, not just a hearer. James is entirely relaxed about the fact that Christians will face times of trial, but he suggests that these, perhaps paradoxically, should be faced with joy. And then reading from verse 3, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all, without finding fault, and it will be given to you. There is such faith there, isn't there? Such assurance, such confidence that it really is worth approaching God in prayer, seeking the will of him who is the very source of wisdom. But this will not all then suddenly be plain sailing, says James. You need to ask in faith rather than being overwhelmed by doubt, because it's only in faith that you can expect to receive anything from the Lord. And even then, temptation will come. Those who can find the strength to resist temptation will be blessed. And we must remember that God himself would never be the source of temptation. Rather, one is tempted by one's own desire, in contrast to every perfect gift which comes from above. So we ask for wisdom, we resist temptation, and then thirdly, we do something about it. We don't just revel in hearing beautiful religious truths, we act in response. I said that James can be strikingly frank. Well, here's an example from verse 22. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. We are all now beginning to face more opportunities to do. But will our first thought be that trip to the cafe or even the barber's? Or will we keep our eyes fixed on that which is truly important? The first chapter of James ends citing the orphans and widows as deserving of care. In our time and in our particular situations, there will be others too that we similarly are called to serve. And so my prayer is that each of us will ask God for wisdom, resist temptation, and be a doer, not just a hearer.